Hello, and welcome to Pawsitive Pet Nutrition. Today we're talking about the truth behind the terms. So a little bit about the terminology that can be so confusing when we're looking at pet food. My name is Joye Sears, and I'm a registered veterinary technician. I'm a technician instructor at Dal AC University, and I also work part-time as a pet nutritional advocate for Royal Canin Canada, a pet food manufacturing company. None of the information in today's topic will be related to specific branding. So my goal for today is that by the end of the presentation, you will be able to define some of these common and often confusing terms that are used on pet food labels. Let's start with the big one, byproducts. This is a word that a lot of people view with a lot of suspicion, and they're very worried when they see that the word byproduct appears on their ingredient label. And so I just want to clear that up a little bit. The word byproduct just means the stuff that is left over when we've taken what we want as the primary product. So, for example, when I make a whole chicken, and the only thing that my 13-year-old wants to eat is the chicken breast. So for him, that is the primary product. Everything that is left on that chicken, all of the rest of it, is byproduct. He doesn't want it. And so that terminology refers to things like organ meats and skin and things that are very nutritious, in many cases much more nutritious than the actual muscle meat, which is all he's interested in eating. So people in general in our own lives, we eat tons of byproducts. So the hot dog that you enjoy is I'm sure completely byproduct, but also things like haggis and tripe and liver and all of these things would be considered byproduct because they are the extras. They're not the primary thing that's taken off. And so lots of byproducts are used in pet food after the human component, or what we would consider desirable as people in North America in particular, has been removed. So it doesn't imply that they're not nutritious. It does not include things like roadkill or hooves or hair or things that people think are not desirable. So there is a very specific list of what can be considered to be a byproduct. Meal is a term we talked about in a previous talk a little bit, but if you see the word meal, sometimes you might see chicken meal or you might see chicken byproduct meal. It just means that meat has been processed. It's been cooked and dried into a powder. So basically all that's left is the protein component. The fat has been removed, the moisture has been removed. So when you compare something that says meal with, for example, something that says whole chicken on the label, the whole chicken would include all of the parts that you see in the picture. So all of the moisture that's present there, the bones, all of that would be included in a whole chicken. So it doesn't mean that meal is more nutritious or whole chicken is less nutritious. But if you see meal as something high on the label and protein is a desirable component for you, there may actually be more protein in the meal that you see than there is in the actual full chicken when it says that on the label. So just watch for that when you're looking at your pet food labels. And it's not a scary term. It doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with it or that it's less nutritious. Is your dog food full of filler ingredients? So filler is a word that we hear a lot in pet food manufacturing, and it's a word that doesn't have a defined meaning. So it doesn't actually mean anything. But what we think, or what the general public thinks it means, is that it is an ingredient that is no nutritious value. It has no value to the pet. It's not digestible. It's going straight through and ending up in the backyard. And when we look at the ingredients that are included in pet foods, if that is the definition of filler, none of them are fillers. It would be a waste of money, for one thing, to put an ingredient in a food that had no value. And companies are not about wasting money, that's for sure. But also in well-formulated foods, each of the ingredients is selected specifically for the nutrient that it provides. Often when we hear the word filler, people think of things like corn or wheat or grains. And we're going to do another topic on just grains and the issues around those, because that is a very complicated topic. But rest assured that your dog food, your cat food, your pet food is not full of filler, because it doesn't really exist. High quality is a really difficult term. We don't know. When we're looking at a food, we always say we want it to be high quality, but we don't necessarily know what that means. So here's a really rough guideline. So if you're looking at a food and you're wondering if it's high quality, is it safe for your dog? Is the ingredient edible? So that's very, very basic. Is it wholesome, uncontaminated, not rotten, so safe in that way? And is it nutritious? Does it provide all of the nutrients that the diet needs? So you can assess based on the quality of the ingredients and the quality of the whole diet. So those are things that can be hard to assess, but you can ask questions that will help you get those answers. Human grade. We hear this one a lot as well. So it's considered by many people that it's a desirable quality for a pet food to be human grade. And you can see why that would be. Human grade means that that product is safe for human consumption. So if you wanted to eat your dog or cat food, you could, and it would be safe. The issue that comes with that is that pet food manufacturing facilities are not licensed to produce human grade food. So even if they operate at very high standards and they're well inspected and everything is going really well, they're not going to put human grade on their bag because they are not a licensed manufacturing company who makes human food. So it's not legal for them to put that on their bag. So it's really difficult. So I would caution you not to consider a food not to be good because it doesn't say human grade, because in many places it's actually illegal for pet food manufacturing companies to have that label. And if they do have it, that's a great time to do some research and find out how they got that on their label and if it's valid, because sometimes it's on there, but it's not true. So do some investigating to find that out. Ooh, organic. So organic is a word that actually has real meaning on the bag. So if you see a USDA organic seal or a Canadian organic seal, then it actually has 95% or more organic components. And that is a legal requirement. So the company has to be able to prove that they have that many ingredients in there that are organic. If the bag has the word organic, but it doesn't have the seal, then the company needs to be able to prove that the whole food altogether has 70% organic ingredients. It might also say with organic beef, in which case that particular ingredient needs to be demonstrated to be organic. So it does actually have meaning to see that word. And you can kind of figure out by looking at the company what meaning it has. But if it has the real seal, then it's 95%. Organic is a term that is important to people for their own sort of moral, environmental feelings. It doesn't necessarily translate to safe, to healthy, to high quality, or nutritious. It just talks about the manufacturing process of the ingredients. So keep that in mind. Another one you'll see on here is non-GMO. And so when we're talking about genetically modified, again, that is sort of a judgment call based on human values that really has nothing to do with the underlying nutritious nature of the food. So that's a choice that you're making based on your own beliefs, as opposed to looking at it from a science standpoint at this point. All right, natural. Natural is a word that actually didn't have meaning for a long time, and people could say it. But now the American Association of Feed Control Officers has determined that the term natural will mean that the ingredients are sourced from plant, animal, or mineral sources and not developed through chemical means. And really the only ingredients in pet food that could fall into that category anyway are some vitamins and preservatives in particular. And so if it says natural, then it should not contain preservatives that are synthetic or have been chemically made. And so not all foods that are natural will have a natural label, but that is something that you should be able to determine. If it does say natural, they should be following those guidelines. They are just guidelines, so they're not regulations. There are some words that unfortunately just have no meaning on the bag. So a couple of examples here: supreme, premium, holistic is one that is very attractive to people right now. None of those have any legal meaning, and anyone can put them on any bag. So it doesn't tell you anything about the manufacturing of the product, about the safety and nutritiousness. So use caution when you see that sort of thing. All right, there we go. Another one for the books. If you have any questions about terminology, if you are interested in learning a bit more about that, please feel free to contact me. My email is joy.sears@dal.ca, and I can't wait to see you next time.